Kikelomo Okeri, Global Television News.
The House of Representatives has passed for a second reading a bill for the Act to establish the National Electoral Offences Commission. The sponsor of the bill, Adebayo Olusegun Balogun, explained that the process and the commission is intended to relieve the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, of the responsibility of prosecuting electoral offenders. Queen Agaba has more.
Honorable Adebayo Olusegun Balogun says the duty of electoral offenders should be handled by an independent agency. He noted that INEC is currently overwhelmed by the burden of managing electoral offences, which in turn undermines the integrity of the electoral process.
INEC as an agency has been overwhelmed by the responsibility of prosecuting all these offenders, and because of that, many offenders are not being prosecuted, and this is not really giving credibility to the institution of INEC. So that is the reason why Nigerians are calling for the independence of an agency that will be taking care of electoral offences.
The House of Representatives has also resolved to investigate the immediate and underlying causes behind the government's failure to pay contractors for completed projects. During the debate, some lawmakers voiced concerns over the widespread abandonment of projects across the country, attributing it to the government's inability to settle outstanding payments to contractors.
Every time you lose in releasing money to a contractor or to somebody executing project for you, you are equally losing the time of completion and the skyrocketing cost of projects. That is the rates at which a contractor puts to execute. The lack of releases, like you didn't mention, is affecting a lot of things. Some people have invested their money through the actualization of the projects, but because of the lack of releases, they couldn't continue, they couldn't complete, and in a way, that is also putting the local contractors in.
This decision followed the adoption of a motion of urgent public importance moved by Honorable Nnamdi Ezechi. For Global Television, Queen Agaba reporting.
The National Association of the Blind's Akwa Ibom State Council has appealed to Governor Umo Eno to assent to the disability bill earlier passed by the State's House of Assembly. The chairman of the association, Stephen Solomon, who made the appeal in Uyo during the first anniversary of the union's ESCO, said the bill, if passed, will reduce discrimination, segregation, and concealment. Solomon explained that the bill, when signed into law, would empower them to advocate for their rights in the state. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, says the provision of water to Abuja satellite towns is dear to the heart of President Bola Tinubu. Wike stated this after he inspected some projects in Abuja while responding to a question about his recent visit to China. The minister had, on May 1st, traveled to China to finalize discussion with the official of the China Geoengineering Corporation overseas construction. The House of Representatives has resolved to urge the federal government to establish compressed natural gas conversion centers equitably across the country to give all Nigerians a sense of belonging. It also mandated the Committee on Gas Resources to ensure compliance and report back within 4 weeks. Uyi Agbomofuegbe takes it from here. We'll bring you that report in our subsequent bulletin. The Nigerian Navy has commissioned a 60,000-litre solar-powered motorized borehole and solar lightning units around the perimeter at Bayanwaya Community, Katongora local government area of Niger State. The Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Emmanuel Ogala, who was officially represented at the event by the Chief of Naval Transportation, Rear Admiral Mondi Umuehere says the water project is a milestone in the Nigerian Navy's Civil-Military Cooperation Initiative. Kikelomo Okere has details.
Water is essential to life. It is the bedrock of food security, public health, sanitation, and dignity. The Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Emmanuel Ogala, who was represented at the event by the Chief of Naval Transformation, Rear Admiral Monday Unuhiri, says the special quick intervention is to facilitate the attainment of the reinvigorated Nigerian Navy's civil-military cooperation mandate and to contribute to the ongoing federal government renewed hope agenda. He therefore urged the beneficiaries to use the facility responsibly while appealing to the people of the community to collaborate with the Nigerian Navy and other security agencies to eliminate security threats.
Avenues for the Nigerian Navy to honor its accomplished senior officers and an indication that beyond physically securing lives and properties, we are committed to serving the interests of Nigerians through other means.
The Niger State Governor Ahmed Umar Bako, who was represented by the Commissioner Homeland Security, retired Brigadier General Bello Mohammed, says the initiative demonstrates the practical value of civil-military relations which seek to build bridges between the armed forces and the community. He added that the borehole will alleviate the suffering of the people of Bayanwaya and transform daily lives, particularly for women, children, and farmers.
To respond to the people's real needs, especially in the area of water supply, has earned our administration and sincere gratitude.
The facilitator of the event, Chief of Naval Safety and Standard, Rear Admiral Abdul Majid Ibrahim, and the House of Representative member representing Kotangura, Honorable Umar Sani Black, says the project shows a symbiotic relationship between the people of Bayanwaya community, the public, and the private.
So, my beloved people of Kontagora Emirate, this project is ours to cherish, maintain and sustain. Let us take full ownership of it, ensuring that we positively partake in the success story of this project as it serves a purpose for the good of man and for the glory of God.
The water project is strategic in many aspects. It will end the water scarcity within the community and its environment, reduce the rate of waterborne diseases within the community, and ultimately improve personal hygiene of the people living in this community.
They, however, encourage the community leaders to be vigilant of saboteurs that might want to vandalize the facility. Kikelomo Okere, Global Television News.
The Armed Forces of Nigeria says it has neutralized calls of terrorists, including one of their leaders known as Kwachi Eze, popularly referred to as Onowu, who has been on the wanted list of the military. The Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Marcos Kange, made this known while addressing journalists on the operational activities of the armed forces in Abuja. Defense correspondent Kikelomo Okere reports.
The Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Marcos Kenge, reveals that Nkwachi Eze, otherwise known as Onowu, has been on the wanted list of the military, having responsible for coordinating series of attack and kidnapping across the southeast. The troops have also taken into custody one Buhari Umar, a wanted suspected gun runner who also doubles as leader of the kidnapping syndicate terrorizing He further reels out that the troops of Operation Wild Stroke arrested a 5-man kidnapping syndicate in Lafia local government area of Nasarawa State and rescued 173 kidnapped hostages, while over 204 terrorists and members of their families surrendered to own troops. Also in the South-South region, troops of Operation Delta Safe foiled all thefts worth over 1.9 billion naira. The Military High Command reiterated its commitment to remain focused in ensuring national security and welfare of its personnel as troops continue to put in more effort to safeguard the nation's territorial integrity and protect citizens from all forms of threats. Kike Lomo Okeri, Global Television News.
2025 Hajj operations have officially commenced in Imo State, with the inaugural flag-off ceremony held at the Sam Mbakwe International Cargo Airport, Owerri. The event, which drew religious and political leaders from across the country, was graced by the Vice President of Nigeria, Senator Kashim Shettima, who flagged it off. Our correspondent, Amarachi Ibe, has the report.
Representing President Bola Tinubu, Vice President Kashim Shettima described the commencement of Hajj operations from Imo State as a symbol of inclusiveness, national unity, and religious harmony. He commended the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria for decentralizing airlift operations and lauded Governor Hope Uzodinma for creating an enabling environment that allow Imo to be selected as one of the departure points in the southeast. He urged the intending pilgrims to be good ambassadors of Nigeria, stressing the spiritual significance of Hajj and the importance of discipline, prayer, and reflection during the journey. Governor Hope Uzodinma in his speech expressed pride that Imo State is now among the states airlifting pilgrims directly to Saudi Arabia. He emphasized that his administrations remain committed to ensuring freedom of worship and fostering peace among all religious groups in the state. He wished the pilgrim a safe journey and prayed for the success of the 2025 Hajj exercise.
Let me also take a moment to commend His Excellency, the Governor of Imo State, Senator Hope Uzodinma, for fostering the atmosphere of religious tolerance, mutual respect, and inclusion. His support is both heartening and symbolic of a nation coming into harmony with itself. This governor is not a Muslim, but to have brought himself and given massive support to the Hajj, then we must recognize his patriotism.
On behalf of the government and the good people of Imo State, I want to thank President Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR for all the approvals that made this day possible.
The Sultan of Sokoto and the President General of the Nigeria Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs, His Eminence Alhaji Said Abubakar, praised federal and state government for supporting the spiritual needs of Muslims across the country. He called on pilgrims to use the opportunity of Hajj to pray for Nigerians' unity, peace, and economic stability.
At a forum like this, where we are gathered to wish our intended pilgrims safe trip to Saudi Arabia, and to urge them to pray for our leaders, pray for President Tinubu, pray for our governors. For those of you who are going from this state, pray fervently for Governor Hope Uzodinma for what he has been doing to you and to the state to bring peace and stability and unity in this great state.
Earlier in an address of welcome, Chairman of the National Hajj Commission, Professor Abdullahi Usman, outlined the Commission's preparations and innovations for this year's Hajj, such as improved welfare package and digital tracking system for pilgrims. He applauded the partnership with Imo State Governor, which he says sets a benchmark for other states in the region.
I remain deeply grateful to Almighty Allah for making this memorable occasion possible under my watch.
The 2025 Hajj operation in Imo State marked a significant milestone for Muslim faithfuls in the region, offering them greater convenience and reaffirming the nation's commitment to religious inclusion and services. From Sam Mbakwe International Airport, Owerri, Amarachi Ibe, reporting for Global TV News.
From the world of business, the Nigerian Senate has approved 2 out of 4 key tax reform bills, marking a major step in the ongoing overhaul of the Nigerian tax administration system. The bill passed include one to repeal the Federal Inland Revenue Service Establishment Act and another to establish both the Joint Revenue Board and the Nigerian Revenue Service. Our correspondent has the story.
The lawmakers' defection was formally announced in a letter read on the floor of the House of Representatives by Speaker Abbas Tajuddin during plenary. In the letter, the lawmakers cited lingering unresolved crisis within PDP, which they claim had made it impossible for them to remain in the party. They described the situation as a chronic, incurable crisis that continues to plague the party.
To formally inform you and the Honorable House of my decision to resign my membership of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, and declare for the All Progressive Congress, APC. The primary reason for my defection is the high level of chronic crisis without cure and internal divisions.
And on the foreign scene, U.S. President Donald Trump has signaled that he could lower tariff on Chinese import as the rival superpower prepare for trade talks over this weekend. Trump wrote on his Truth Social platform that 80% of tariff on China seems right, which could bring them down from 145%, with cumulative duties on some goods reaching a staggering 245%. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, has confirmed that Nigeria has fully repaid the $3.4 billion COVID-19 financial support it got under the Rapid Financing Instrument, that is RFI. Senior Special Assistant to the President, Ortega Ogra, had posted a widely circulated post on X account showing the good news of Nigeria's exit from the IMF debtors list, indebted to the multilateral organization to the tune of about $30 million, which is the special drawing rights charges. The Pentagon says the U.S. military will immediately start the process of removing some 1,000 transgender troops and will force out those who do not leave the voluntary by early June. President Donald Trump issued an executive order in January banning transgender military service, and the U.S. Supreme Court ruled this week that the ban could take effect while litigation changing its place out. Approximately 1,000 troops who identify as having gender dysphoria diagnosis fall into that category, Pentagon spokesman Sean Parnell said in a statement. The United Arab Emirates has agreed to contribute to a huge gas pipeline project that will connect Nigeria to Morocco and eventually reach Europe. Morocco's Minister of Energy Transmission and Sustainable Development, Liali Benali, told lawmakers that the UAE is now one of the supporters of the project, which is estimated to cost $25 billion. Ben Ali also said Morocco has finished all feasibility and engineering studies needed for the pipeline. And in sports, after weeks of waiting, Nigerian athletes and officials were finally granted visa for the 2025 World Relay, which begins on Saturday in Guangzhou, China, putting the Athletics Federation of Nigeria in a logistic sprint to meet up with their counterparts. The visas were reportedly approved after hopes of participation in the two-day event were initially dashed. The World Relay will also serve as an avenue to qualify for the 2025 World Championship, which will be held later this year in Tokyo. Football Australian Chief Executive James Johnson has resigned after 5.5 years on the job. The national governing body said, having played a key part in bringing the Women's World Cup to the country, Johnson's surprise decision to stand down comes less than a year before Australian host the Women's Asian Cup. As we end the Global TV News Prime, let's take a look at our top stories. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, says the provision of water to Abuja satellite towns is dear to the heart of President Bola Tinubu. In business, the president of the Dangote Group, Alhaji Aliko Dangote, has said the Dangote refinery is not competing with the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited. And on the foreign scene, the new Pope Leo VI has imparted his frost to the city and the world, blessing in front of the crowd gathered on St. Peter's Square. And finally, from the world of sport, Liverpool boss Arne Slot says everyone at the club is disappointed by Trent Alexander-Arnold's decision to leave Anfield at the end of the season. And that's it on Global TV News Prime. A quick reminder that Global TV is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms now showing on your screen using @Global TV NG. You can download the Global TV Nigerian app for Android and iOS devices to keep track of our broadcast. I am Ramsey Enoch Agbo. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.